Today we're going to be working on the 8N Ford. I was out yesterday and we were moving some dirt around with a blade, and finally the right rear tire went. I'll show you what happened here. So when these tires get dry, rotted, they will do this, and this one actually cracked so bad here that the tube was actually coming through that. It was splitting this apart. That tire's just shot. But we were running it as long as we possibly could to get as much use out of it as possible. I will tell you, if you're going to look at an older tractor, you may want to check the condition of the tires, because for some tractors, a set of rear tires for these is almost the cost of the tractor, if not more. But I knew this one was getting close, so we kept an eye out. We found one on Marketplace that this tire's barely even been used. It was just the tire. I took one of the old rims that I had and cleaned it up and got it painted, and we grabbed a new tube for it, and I actually mounted this one myself. So this one is ready to go on there, so I'm going to show you how we do it. Always use a jack stand, no matter what you're doing. If you jack anything up, always use a jack stand. One of the other things to be careful of is the older tires were sometimes loaded with calcium chloride or water or some type of liquid for balance, for weight, for ballast, for weight. Be careful when you're taking these off. They are extremely heavy if they're loaded. And this one it's still got quite a bit in it. Now, if you're working with an 8N Ford, this isn't too bad. Like, if this tire falls down, you can get it back up pretty easily. But if you're working with a large tractor and one of these tires flops over, you're probably going to need 2 or 3 people to get it put back up, or another tractor or forklift or something like that. So I'm going to roll this outside. We'll do a little more here. So on this particular model, the center inside rim is separate from the outside rim. So I don't have a new one of these, so I'm going to steal this and take it and put it on my new one. So we've got to pull these bolts off in order to get this out of here. That's the piece that I wanted right there. So this tire is not loaded. It's quite a bit lighter weight. I can easily move it around and manipulate it without it falling over. But as always, if you're having trouble with it, get somebody to help you. I'm going to use a dead blow mallet on this so I don't mess up the paint. And once we get a couple of those started, we can flip it over. So if you're working on a tractor that's fairly new to you or you're not familiar with, that you haven't done much maintenance on, you may want to pull off the brakes and check out the condition of the brakes while it's apart. This tractor is pretty well serviced. We use this a lot. I try to service this at least once every year or two. So the brakes are in good shape. I know they're decent. This would be a good time to pull this brake drum and check that out, replace anything that's damaged or broken. Or just adjust the brakes up if you need to. We are good today, so I'm going to go ahead and put this wheel back on. So I pulled the jack stand out just for a moment here so that I could get the wheel aligned. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the jack to align the height with the wheel, so I'm not lifting the weight of the wheel to put it back on. I'd like to get this where it just slides right on there. I'm real close here. There it is. That way I don't have to lift the weight of the wheel up to get it to align onto those studs. And if I get a couple of these started, specifically the one at the top, if you can't get the bottom one started, that's fine. Get one started at the top. If you get one started at the top and just get it finger tight, then you can take your jack and lift up on it like that, and the bottom ones should push right into place. And I can just put my foot against it and get those to snug up. And just like any wheel on any vehicle, when you go to tighten these, just like I did on the back side, don't do one after another. Do a star pattern, go across, because that will evenly push that rim onto the hub here and keep it from binding as you put the wheel on there. So I'm going to throw my lug nuts on here, finish it up, and hopefully we're ready to go. I am going to check the tire pressure on this before I go, just to make sure it's all right. I did put this tire on here a few months back. It should be holding pressure, but I don't know that I ever set it to the correct pressure. So I'll have to look on the tire here and see what the correct pressure is. It's saying 26 psi cold is the max inflation. I'm going to check in my service manual and see if that's the correct inflation for that. Again, this tire is not loaded. I am going to possibly going to put some washer fluid. Windshield washer fluid works good to fill these. The old calcium chloride would rust out the rims. We aren't going to put that back in. Windshield washer fluid is a lot safer, and it still doesn't freeze in the winter unless you get really, really cold winters. If you're up north, we're here in Ohio. If you're up north, you may get cold enough winters that won't work for you. Just check out what you're doing. There is better options than calcium chloride in these now. So.